On today's episode of the Views from Section 400 podcast, football is back in the headlines. It's the combine. A.J. Brown might get traded, might not. You'll get Matt's thoughts on that whole situation. A little Giants draft talk. And then our Michael of the week, followed by some college basketball. March is in like a week. We got conference tournaments starting the first weekend of March. It's almost that time, ladies and gentlemen. We'll see you soon.
And just like that, we're back.
A16, turn me up.
Welcome into episode 247 of the Views from Section 400 podcast. Today is February 26th, 2026. Saquon Barkley Day?
I don't think we call it that here in Philadelphia, Brian, but you just pulled that out of your ass. I'm not even going to entertain that.
A lot of twos, a lot of sixes, but the Eagles are in the news. It's the NFL Combine and Howie Roseman, Nick Sirianni. I feel like they've been asked like 10 times each about A.J. Brown and this possible trade.
It's a tale as old as time. If you're listening to this podcast, you know I go back to not only the national media, but the local media. They're going to run with the story. They're going to talk about a story. And have there been disruptions all year? I'm not naive. The fan base isn't naive. There was a disgruntled A.J. Brown all year. But instead of people just letting it go and regrouping and addressing all the other issues this team faces and just going at it for next year, they need to highlight what was the bad, the really bad, and make it maybe something that it isn't. But who knows? Whenever the media starts fueling the fire, it turns into something more, and then it turns into they almost speak it into existence, which is super weird. But I don't know what to make of it. I mean, the coach wants him here. Howie wants him here. AJ, they're all saying they want him here. AJ says he wants to be here. And then the media is like, do you trade him? Get rid of him. What can the Eagles get for AJ? It's like, well, are they even trading him? Like, what could they get for Jalen Hurts? What could they get with Saquon? Let's do hypotheticals for the whole roster while we're at it.
Yeah, it's very strange. And like Howie, I think Sirianni had been more vocal. Like, he's part of this team. We want him on this team. Howie was more like, yeah, he's a captain on the team. Like, he's a good leader. He's been a part of a championship winning team. It feels like they don't even want to kind of entertain the subject.
It's nonsense. Look, it's the Philadelphia Eagles, whether they go have a 3-win season or have, the Super Bowl winning season, the media knows they can create headlines in Philadelphia. And that's exactly what we're seeing here is just another headline. A.J. Brown, one of the top 5 wide receiver in football. You can debate me on that, on however you want to debate it. But yeah, it's not that bad of a take, Brian. But yeah, everybody wants him to stay. I don't think he was the issue. Could the attitude have been a little bit better and not mope and grope like when you get 3 catches and then feed into what the media is already trying to feed into the fire they're already trying to start? I don't think you need to do that. But I don't know, man. I think the media is drumming it up. Howie Roseman said, it doesn't. You want guys like A.J. Brown off the team. You don't get better by subtracting him, I think. And I'm paraphrasing what his quote was, but what I took away is, you don't get better by subtracting a guy like A.J. Brown. So that's the GM. The coach has said only positives and that he wants him back. A.J. is like, I don't want to leave. I'm just frustrated because I'm not getting the ball. Like I want to be implemented and be a game changer and help this team win and be a part of the reason why. So I think that's just a competitor winner mentality to have. They're all winners. They're all starving to win. They all want to win.
Yeah, I think the main issue here was Kevin Patullo, and the offense was so bad. So those headlines are going to come out, and A.J. Brown's, of course, frustrated. I'm sure Jalen Hurts is frustrated he couldn't get A.J. Brown the ball more.
Right. I think it was, it doesn't help that like Jalen has the too cool for school attitude. AJ Brown's got, I'm not whatever comments he's got and he's pissed. And then the media, that's what their job is to take an interview, take a post-game press conference, take whatever subject matter they're reporting on and could take and spin it into a story. And the easiest story you could come up with is A.J. Brown wants out of Philadelphia. They're not doing that well. They won double-digit games. They won the division. Like, if you take a step back and look at it, sure, they lost at home, but that was a direct result of a media fire and everybody saying, well, this team is a disaster because everything, like, I don't know. It's just, it's a lot more than it really needs to be. And I think Howie and Nick and AJ and the rest of the team just need to focus on everybody who's coming back. How can we retain pieces that are important? How can we draft well? The draft is coming up in 2 months here. And how can we get back on track for next year? That needs to be the focus, not what can the Eagles get for A.J. Brown.
Yeah, the nature of the combine is just these kind of headlines. Like you get Mike Vrabel being asked about getting reunited with A.J. Brown just because, like, that's what the media will go to. You get Adam Peters asking about what it would be like to add Brandon Ayuk to the Commanders. They just see these kind of connections, and they're like, oh, maybe we'll make a story out of this. And to their credit, sometimes these owners or GMs see that, and then they get huddled up in a bar at 11 o'clock on a night at the combine. They're like, hey, maybe we can make a deal.
Yeah, look, maybe. I'm not in those conversations, and I'm not at the bar with them either. But I don't think even if they are, I don't think they're the ones who are ultimately like pulling the strings on that. It has to be the GM, not the owner.
And Howie's smart enough to not get influenced, but there's definitely some GMs out there that hear these rumblings, and then that leads to them checking in and eventually to a trade. Also, just circling back, I think you're safer saying A.J. Brown's a top 10. I think 5's a little bit of a reach.
All right, so who did you come up with that that pushed him out of that? And are you basing that off of the last season or what A.J. Brown is, right? Because
what I know A.J. Brown is.
If you base on the last season, sure, I could say, okay, there's other guys who had a better season last year than A.J. Brown, but
well, one of the guys I'm going to name had a worse season, but I put Chase there, Jefferson there, Puka there, Jackson Smith and Jigba there. That's 4. And then I guess you get to CeeDee Lamb, and then maybe that's where the conversation starts, Lamb versus Brown.
So your words were, I think you got top 10, top 5's a stretch. If the conversation is already CJ or AJ at number 5, how the hell is that a stretch, Brian?
Because I think I'd put CD there pretty easily.
Okay, so he's 6. That doesn't make it a stretch. A stretch would be if he was like a top 12.
I said he's safely in the top 10.
Whatever. I don't care where he is as long as he's putting up numbers next year. And to answer your other question on your sheet here, no, Devonta Smith cannot take over as wide receiver 1. I saw, what was it, one of the bozos on WIP tried to make a narrative of, he's had the same trajectory as JSN, and the Seahawks traded away DK Metcalf, and then look at how JSN exploded. The Eagles, they trade away AJ Brown, and look how Devonta can explode. No, I'm not buying any of that nonsense. I think the duo they have is one of the best, if not on any given Sunday, the best duo in the National Football League. And we don't need him to take over as wide receiver 1. We have 2 wide receiver 1s, 1A and 1B, Swole Batman and Skinny Batman. And that's how we got to keep it.
Devonta Smith is perfect as a wide receiver 2. He's one of the best wide receiver 2s in the game. And I did forget to mention Amon-Ra. So I think the conversation starts right outside the top 5 for A.J. Brown, which is still a great wide receiver to have. There's 32 teams in the NFL.
Yeah, I mean, he's an all-pro caliber guy. All-pro caliber receiver. And at any given Sunday, he can be the best in the league. Is that fair to say? It's what it is. Okay, sure. If you want to rank and get specific and say, well, this guy here, this guy there, okay, sure. Maybe. He's not like any given Sunday, man, this guy can go out and be the best. And that's what we're asking for him to do. And I think it would be a massive mistake and set the Eagles further back than they already are with all the other issues that they have. It's we're not even at a Super Bowl month, and my blood pressures are getting raised. And I'm talking this should not be the conversation that is the media is having. This should not be the storyline. And I'm glad Sirianni and Howie both, they didn't pull a Dave Dombrowski and said, what if Howie came out and said, well, we know we know AJ as an elite wide receiver. I don't know if he can get back to that elite level, because that's what Dave Dombrowski said about Bryce Harper.
Still ridiculous. That might be. We had the Bills owner talking about how Keon Coleman was a mistake. I think Dave Dombrowski's comments about Bryce Harper are still the most egregious thing we've heard an executive say about a player.
He's an idiot. He's an idiot. What are you doing? Like, it's props to Bryce for just like brushing it off. Sure, you could call it childish. I think Dombrowski saying that allows Harper to wear the shirt that says not elite, or whatever he wore that said not elite. I think that warranted him to have a little fun or jab back. I'm fine with it, but props to Harper for just kind of keeping his head down and still getting ready for the season. I mean, that could have blown up. Hell, like I said, could have been the same situation here if Howie or Nick or somebody more Howie comes out at the combine and says, AJ didn't have an elite year. We know him as an elite guy, but he wasn't elite. He's still a good player, but I don't know if he can get back to being an elite player. If he said that, all hell breaks loose for no reason. You don't need to do that.
Yeah, I kind of hate that I'm connecting these dots in my head now, but the last time a player got slammed in the media for not being elite, he went on to have the best season of his career and win a Super Bowl. And that was Eli Manning in 2011. Maybe Bryce Harper does the same thing for the Phillies.
I hope. One can only hope. And yeah, I don't know, man. I've said enough on this piece. I've said enough. The Eagles should be looking at how to get better in the draft, how to make moves in free agency, and how to continue to progress that way to get back on track and not worry about what they can get for AJ Brown.
Yeah, this isn't Max Crosby on the Raiders where you have to debate rebuilding or keeping a good player. You probably want to keep the good player.
Keep the good player, and I think you're still well in line as the favorite, no? Like, I mean, I know you're going to have giant bias and optimism. And, look, maybe the Eagles don't win it, but at least going in, they got to be the favorite, right? There's always a favorite. Whether they end up there or not, totally different story. But I think
on the last show, we did the odds because we were talking about Jaguar Super Bowl odds. I think the Eagles were the 4th highest to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, that's a top.
5th, yeah.
I mean,
they're right up there.
You're in the top half of the top half, if that makes sense.
Same odds as the Chiefs.
Yeah. So, this isn't sell everybody to rebuild. This is, dare I say, transition year.
It worked out pretty well for the Mets.
Did it though?
If they got their best finish since 2015.
Yeah, I guess. I won't.
But you don't want to lose in the NFC Championship. But
no,
it'd be better than last year.
I know what you mean. It's
all right.
Enough of that.
Yeah, one team, my team, that's hoping to end the rebuild. Definitely different expectations going into this year. Although I finally have expectations. Last couple of years, I haven't had any. This year, I have some to just be a semblance of a good football team most weeks of the season. We're getting some mock drafts. I'm into the mock drafts now because it's not just who are we going to get that's going to suck. It's maybe who are we going to get that's going to make them into the playoff conversation, at least until December. So there's 2 guys right now, Carnell Tate and Caleb Downs, both Ohio State. I think I went Downs more. just because they already have offensive pieces. But I kind of looked at it, and the two positions the Giants have really drafted well, at least since I've been alive, have been safety and wide receiver. Now, Kadarius Toney is kind of an outlier there, but like wide receivers they've drafted in the first round since 2000: Hakeem Nicks, Odell, Malik Neighbors, and then you go to safeties and they've drafted Kenny Phillips, um, Jabril Peppers, Xavier McKinney, Landon Collins. So if they just stick to those two, I feel like one of them is going to be good. It's just, do I want a wide receiver there or do I want a safety?
No corner.
There's not really a good enough corner unless they trade back, which could be an option. But I don't know. I think I like Tate and Downs more than I would like adding a corner. I'm struggling to pick which one.
Yeah, I think it's well. You got to figure how does the first couple picks play out, but it seems like what Carnell Tate is going to be right there for the taking,
Yeah, it's looking well. Obviously, Mendoza
unless
won.
like the Jets do
No.
something. But Arvel Reese makes so much sense for them.
Yeah, there's Reese, and then there's the three other edge rushers, and then obviously Mendoza. So it feels like the Giants will have their pick of either Caleb Downs or Carnell Tate.
Do they see some things with Scadaboo that are concerning, and they go to Jeremiah Love?
Jeremiah Love, that would be I would be all the way out if they drafted Jeremiah Love.
Dude, you never know. I mean, like, would that be the most shocking pick of all time? I don't think it'd be the most of all time. It definitely would be like, huh, do they need to do that? But again, there's things teams see day to day, year to year, month to month in the offseason, leading up to the draft that we don't see, the media doesn't see, nobody sees. So we see these mind scratching of recent years, Michael Penix, which I mean, they still don't really have a quarterback, but picking him at 7 overall.
That's the one I was going to say might be more surprising than if the Giants drafted Love.
Right. So, we don't know what kind of mindset. You would think Harbaugh all these years and Joe Schmo pretty much being told, hey, if you want to like stick around and show up every day and still get a paycheck, Harbaugh's going to be making the call on this. And that's just going to be the way it goes. So you'd think Harbaugh won't screw it up. And he seems like a guy, I think we're kind of answering our own question here, is more defensive minded than offensive minded. So is there a world where he goes a defensive player at number 5?
I think that's what they need. The issue is their safeties aren't necessarily the problem. They're not great. Javon Holland was kind of a big disappointment. I think I hyped him up a little too much. But Downs is just Downs can play that nickel linebacker. He could, but the issue is then they just might have another Jabril Peppers, and that didn't exactly go great. I mean, he was good, but he kind of didn't have a position in the NFL.
He didn't have a position. Those Giants teams are so tough to judge. No pun intended.
Yeah.
But they're so tough because the schemes and the personnel coaching wise that they had involved every year was just like dumpster fire disaster from the top of the front office, like all the way down, to the bare minimums of the coaching staff. Just, it was horrible, horrible, horrible. So, can you judge that? And you say, well, all right, Jabril, what did he really do after that? I don't know. Did he have some time in
He was
Seattle,
okay with New England.
Green Bay, New England. So, I mean, you look, okay, well, what did he do after? I don't know that. Maybe there is. I don't know. I see a pure Jabril Peppers and there's no room for. I think they could use that.
They could, and he could definitely be better than what Jabril Peppers was, but I just feel like they kind of profile the same way. I think I'm talking myself by the day more into Caleb Downs, even though Ohio State wide receivers have a great hit rate in the NFL.
Extremely. I mean, they've been wide receiver extremely good. That like almost answers your question on the other side.
Yeah, Tate does feel like one of the worst ones they've had, just in terms of his college production. But still, if you could have like another Chris Olave paired with Malik Neighbors, Jackson Dart can't fail. You feel like he can't fail.
Well, I wouldn't I would knock on wood, but
Yeah, I guess JJ McCarthy kind of failed with Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. But
yeah, I mean, do we know what we have in 9 yet?
I think the Vikings might be ready to ship him off. Kirk Cousins is going to be available now. Is that a reunion there?
No, I mean, Kurt's got to that's got to be hang it up and go join the booth, man. Is he a CBS or Fox guy? Probably a Fox guy, right?
I think he was doing stuff with ESPN.
Oh, was he?
I want to say he was on the sideline in one of their playoff games they had.
Really?
It could have been CBS. He was sitting there with like a classic white guy turtleneck on. And I remember I pointed to Rose. I'm like, I like that turtleneck. So he was there. I forget what network it was though.
Yeah, either way, I don't think a reunion's in the cards there, but I don't know, Brian, where they go at number 5, but it'll definitely be interesting, and the speculation will continue to rise as we approach April.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's almost here. We just had the Super Bowl and then get right into the draft. NFL doesn't stop.
Nope.
All right, you want to get into some Michael of the Week here?
Yeah, I think we can get rocking and rolling with that. Oh, hold on. Hopefully this part gets edited out.
Yeah, I'll pause it. All right, Matt, let's start with your Michael.
Yeah, so Michael of the Week, I was doom scrolling our favorite social media X, and Brian, we can kind of relate because last week, people don't know, we went to the Sixer game and got some pretty cheap lower level seats. A McDonald's medium fry is now more expensive than the cheapest Memphis Grizzlies ticket. So what do you want more? A McDonald's medium fry or to go watch the Memphis Grizzlies game and potentially get a Dunkin' $5 gift card, which we did get as well. So maybe you cash in there.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of promotion Duncan has with the NBA. Still don't understand why we got that gift card, but I appreciated the $5 meal deal. Having to drive back to DC that morning.
For the people saying it's a scam, it worked?
It worked, yeah.
Wow.
So
$4.11 medium McDonald's French fry. Cheapest Grizzlies ticket. Probably for a single game, probably not every game. I'm sure if LeBron's in town or OKC's in town, Warriors in town, special team, but I don't know. Maybe it's Grizzlies Kings would be my guess.
Yeah, that ticket's probably like $1.50. GG Jackson and Cam Spencer running around. Is John Morant injured? Like, do I get to take the gamble if John Morant plays? Because then I think that's worth more than a McDonald's fry.
This specific graphic has John Morant as like the cover where it says $4 for the cheapest Grizzlies ticket, and then obviously has a McDonald's medium fry on the other side. But I don't know. There's probably a bunch of different ways you could look at this and hypotheticals you could make and whatnot, but probably just a one-off. A Grizzlies ticket, cheapest ticket was $4 and a McDonald's medium fry. I mean, for what it's worth, the cheapest for that Hawks game was down to like $10. So we weren't quite at a single
You're getting a Big Mac meal for that.
You're getting a Big Mac meal, Big Mac meal but I mean, this is like you can get into the Grizzlies game cheaper than you could have gotten a McDonald's medium fry, which if you're that hungry, maybe you find more food in the stadium for free by begging somebody or who knows, picking at the trash. I don't know what you do.
Well, if they're selling tickets for $4, they probably got extra food at the end of the game. And I'm sure they'll just give you.
Probably. You probably have a better shot at cashing in on some more food.
But is it worth more? Because you could just go get a McDonald's fry and then watch the game on TV. If you really wanted to go watch the game. Are the Grizzlies that worth going? Do you want to see GG Jackson play in person more than you do just want to sit on your couch and eat some fries?
Yeah, I don't know.
I think I'd take the fries.
It's a tough toss up. I don't have, I'm never in Memphis. I know the Grizzlies are having a tough year, but I would probably take the French fry.
I mean, yeah, it's like that old, like, would you rather have your local WNBA team win the championship or find $1 on the ground? I think I'd
Yeah.
rather get some fries.
That's a great way to wrap that up. Is what would you rather have? And I think I don't know. It's hard though because a lot of NBA truthers are going to be like, "You're a moron if you don't want to go go to the NBA game." Oh.
Watch Pat Spencer shoot 3 for 11 from 3.
Yeah, so
Is it Cam or Pat?
They have 2. One's Cam and one's Pat. One's on Memphis and the other's on the Warriors.
Warriors. I think Cam is on the Warriors.
Your guess would be as good as mine.
All right. Well, I think we're both taking the fry in that scenario.
Yeah, I mean, if you ask a diehard Memphis fan, they're going to take the ticket. I have no skin in the game with the Memphis Grizzlies.
I don't know if they would.
A lot of salty food down south. A lot of people like their salted fries. Might
a lot
be
of salty Grizzlies fans right now.
A lot of salty Grizzly fans right now too. But yeah, I don't know. Let us know in the comments below. What are you taking? And again, take it with a grain of salt. Try and have some fun with it. Crying out loud.
Speaking of having fun with it, the UFL has just decided to throw a bunch of rules at the wall and see what sticks. We got our rule changes for the 2026 UFL season today. That's my Michael of the week. So 60-yard field goals will now count for 4 points instead of 3, which we had the debate about Brandon Aubrey, how much he's going to be worth on a contract extension. Imagine if the NFL implements the 4-point 60-yard field goal. Brandon Aubrey might become the highest paid player in the league.
He might be. I thought I saw something they offered him a contract actually, since we're talking about him, and he denied it or turned it down, and it was the highest paid kicker, but I guess it wasn't enough.
Good for him.
Could be wrong. I'd have to look into that, but no, this is like we have with the MLB now, the ABS. It started in the minors. The UFL is just turned into the minor league without it being a feeder into the NFL, which, I mean, NFL teams can still sign contracts or whatever off the UFL. So it still technically could be a feeder league, but the UFL tries out all the weird odds and ends of expanded rules and get a little crazy with it. And hey, look, if it sticks, if it makes something more interesting, if you're down by 3 and you kick a 65-yard a walk-off field goal for 4, I mean, who knows? You could have a lot of fun with it. The NFL seems more like they're not going to let outside leagues influence their decision making.
For the kickoff. That kickoff started in the UFL.
So exactly my point then. That's turning into the minor leagues of baseball where the UFL is the guinea pig because, well, what the hell do they have to lose? And if it works out kind of well, the NFL can adopt it. If it completely blows up and doesn't work, no harm, no foul to the NFL, and probably no harm, no foul to the UFL either.
Yeah, they also banned the tush push, which I can't imagine the Houston Roughnecks are taking advantage of the tush push as well as the Philadelphia Eagles are. But, I mean, maybe they're trying to just say, hey, we did it first, so you can do it second.
Yeah.
You also can't punt inside the 50 anymore. Once you get inside the 50, you're not allowed to punt in the UFL.
What if you get, multiple penalties and it's 4th and goal from the 42?
Still got to punt.
Wait.
If you cross midfield.
Yeah, but you're kicking a field goal anyway at that point, no? Well, I guess the kickers are a little more rough around the edges in the UFL.
Yeah, I mean, maybe you're going to see them try 4.67-yard field goals every time they get to midfield because they don't want to punt. I mean, I guess that's the idea, right? You're going to try to get as many 4-point field goal attempts as you can.
Well, you'd think whenever they have a rule change, good or bad, the league, whether they want to admit it or not, they want to showcase that rule change. And I would, at least that's just my theory, and I'm sure there's things out there whereas, well, why wouldn't they, whatever, not getting into it. But I would think for more often, like for baseball, they add the load of baseball. They want to showcase the home run. Now they want to showcase the correct call with ABS. Both sides can tap the helmet to really get the correct call. To one, get the correct call, or two, make them look like an idiot and showcase that the umpires aren't always super off. So there's both sides. But I would think in a league like the UFL, where you want it to be banana ball, Harlem Globetrotter, a little bit more fun, you're going to want to showcase that rule if it's one of something different than what you're normally seeing every Sunday in the fall.
Yeah, no, that's well said. I will be tuning in to see some 4.60-yard plus field goals, and by tuning in, I'll probably just watch the highlights on Twitter.
Yeah, I think you can be better off. It's baseball season, Brian. You watch the highlights on Twitter, and that league is kind of taken so much of a sideways spiral of they had two leagues. They had a Philly team. The Philly team made the big game Super Bowl of whatever that was. They lost, then they did it cease to exist. So I don't even know what the hell is going on.
Is that the Alliance? Because they had three leagues. They had the Alliance, they had the USFL, and they had the XFL.
Yeah, they had the XFL. They did have the Alliance. I think the Alliance went away first, though. Then it was the XFL and the USFL coexisted as two different leagues.
Was Philly USFL?
Philadelphia Stars were USFL. They lost in the championship game. They played 1 year. Ceased to exist. They took like a couple teams from the USFL, a couple teams from the XFL, merged leagues, called it the UFL.
United Football
The
League.
UFL, and they have a little bit from one league and a little bit from the other, merged them, and now you have the UFL. And I don't know what teams exist and don't exist. It's literally a couple teams from each league.
Yeah,
so like the Birmingham team might still be there, or the Michigan Panthers
Stallions
still there.
Are still there. I know the Defenders.
Michigan Panthers still there.
I don't think so.
St. Louis Battlehawks.
They're there. The Roughnecks in Houston.
Roughnecks.
Beyond that, I can't tell. PJ Walker played on the Roughnecks.
Yeah. Do they have 8 teams? Is it a 16 league? Do they only have 4?
I think it's 8.
Does St. Louis have a team? Is it the St. Louis Battlehawks?
St. Louis Battlehawks, yeah.
Not
Jordan
Kansas City.
Tamu, was that quarterback there?
DC has a team. I don't even know where else. Does
Let's
Arizona have a team? I mean, you would think they want to keep everybody.
So we got Birmingham, DC, Houston. Oh, they're the Houston Gamblers now.
They've always been the Houston Gamblers, I thought.
Oh,
I think
Dallas is the Renegades.
Yeah. And the Roughnecks might have been they might have been for one of the other leagues and they ceased to exist.
Okay. Louisville has a team? The Kings?
I didn't know that. That's got to be a new team. That's an expansion team. Has to be. That
the Orlando Storm?
That might have always been somebody.
And then the Battlehawks, yeah. So I guess Louisville is an expansion team.
How many teams is that? That is 8. Not 8. Oh, that is 8?
Yeah, we got Birmingham, Columbus, Dallas, DC.
Oh, you didn't say Columbus.
Oh, yeah, Columbus Aviators.
Okay. So everybody's just kind of right there in the central United States. Everybody's in Central Time. Right?
You got TC in Orlando.
Oh, shit. Well.
They can be the Eastern Division. I don't even think they have divisions. No, they must, right?
They have we go 4-4. So I don't know. I'm not just going to sit here and try and continue to code what they're trying to do or not do.
You did bring up the ABS. I'm excited for that only because I think we're finally going to get back to pure broadcast and not see the K zone in front of our faces every game. That's the only reason I'm excited for it.
Yeah, I'm excited for them to get the right call. I do sometimes tend to have the old school mentality of like I just want it to be the old school way, and you're keeping the umpires, so you still get the strike 3 call. It ruins it when the call's correct. So like on a really tight pitch, and he gets rung up for strike 3 end of the inning, and you get the celebration. But then the batter challenges it. and they waste like that kind of ruin, especially in a playoff game. I'm assuming it's staying for the playoffs, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, they did the extra inning rule and then stripped that in the playoffs, so that is you never know what they're leaving in for the postseason. Thanks, Manfred, but yeah, I don't know. I think it takes away from, there's a little bit of that drama celebration effect that's good for the game that we like. And it'll kind of ruin that part of, both sides of like, you get the celebration, crowd goes nuts, strike three, ring them up, end of the inning, gets out of a jam. And it's like, oh, ABF, oh, call stands anyway. It's like, okay, well, now everybody kind of already let it out and then had to stop. And then you don't really get that extra rush again. And then if it is overturned, it's like, oh, well, that was all just kind of pointless. And now the guy walks in a run and they lose the game. Like,
it's going to take getting used to.
It is.
It's going to piss me off when there's a strike three on the black. That's been a strike for the entire history of baseball. And then they do the ABS and it's like a millimeter outside. They overturn it.
They do zoom in and really get in there to
yeah, it's going to annoy
that's
me.
Been a strike for the last 100 years is going to now be a ball.
Yeah, my hope is
what I'm interested in, not to cut you off, is guys who have made their career off certain pitches, living in a certain area, have maybe had sub 3 ERAs. Like what pitchers' ERAs are going to be affected by ABS because they aren't getting the call that they lived on all those years. And now they have to come a little bit more into the zone and they get tagged up a little bit more. And a guy who maybe had a career 3.36 ERA spikes to a 5.32 because he's got to live inside the zone a little bit more than he has his entire career. I don't know. It'd be interesting.
Yeah. The guy that comes to mind first, unfortunately, has a special place in my heart for 2024, but Jose Quintana. I think this is going to make him retire because he lives on the corners. Doesn't throw hard.
Lives on the corners. So now that's a good point. Those guys who don't throw hard, and there's a lot of them. They throw the kitchen sink at you. They mix you up with deception, and they live on corners, and they live off of and made their career off, getting that close 50-50 call that, maybe now the hitter needs to protect a little bit more because the count went to 2-1 or 2-1 from 2 to 2-2 instead of to 3-1 or however it shakes out. I mean, it's going to be a lot of adjustment.
It'll be interesting for sure. For as fast as they've made the game now with the pitch clock, I hope this doesn't make it boring again, where it takes forever and we're sitting for 30 seconds for an ABS challenge. The worst thing we're going to see is if like a pitcher's dealing and they're in rhythm and then you have a hitter just challenge a pitch right down the middle just to throw the pitcher off and make him stop for like a half minute.
Wait till the mind games come out.
It's going to get so annoying. I'm sure Max Scherzer is going to try that shit.
And then you have guys like Chris Sale who said they'll never, ever, ever use ABS. You call bullshit?
Apparently, I saw that, and they're saying like he never argues balls and strikes, but there's going to be one. There's going to be one time where he gets mad.
It's not going to be the matter of him not doing it. It's going to be the fact of him getting a call that wasn't a strike and the hitter challenging it and then getting called a ball. And it might not be the first time, but it's going to happen where it goes against him a couple different times. Might even take half the season, but he's just going to eventually, I feel like it's going to wear on him where he's like, I have to adapt.
Yeah.
Because that's a disadvantage you got to think. If people are using it against you and you're just going to say, I'm not using it.
Yeah, that's a good point. There's also the fact of like the umpires can still deny a challenge. So we're still going to see ump shows. Right? I think it's written like if the ump deems that, because the only people that can challenge are the pitcher, the hitter, and the catcher. So if the ump deems like the third base coach or someone in the dugout told you to challenge, they can deny that challenge.
Yeah, that'll get weird. I kind of wish, what's his name? Angel Hernandez was still around for this.
Yeah, Kyle Schwarber might punch him in the face after like the third.
Well, now, I mean, it would be, now you want the horrible umpires because it'd just be a mockery and embarrassment on them not being, perfecting their craft.
Yeah, here's a good question for you. Who's the first guy to get thrown out because he gets the call reversed and then screams like a profane statement or something at the umpire? There's going to be one.
There's going to be one. I think they're probably going to have league meetings or umpire meeting of like, hey guys, this is something brand new. These guys, this is their career. Let's maybe have a little bit of leniency on crash outs within reason. But like if it's just like a crash out and the guy says some profanities, maybe you let it slide a little more than you would. And then you tighten it up as the year goes on and people adjust. But it's going to be interesting to see. There's a lot of change in all our sports. And we just have to continue to adapt because it's coming whether we like it or not.
Yeah, I mean, Canada's got to adapt to being the second best hockey nation in the world now.
It is funny. We mogged Canada in their own sport.
Twice.
Pretty funny.
All right. Well, speaking of one of our sports that we have that Canada doesn't, that we get to turn the page to, we got March Madness. Conference tournaments start up in a week.
Yeah, it sneaks up on you. It really does. You get lost to the sauce. I know we follow college basketball a year, right? So this has been since I've had November 3rd circled. I was sending you screenshots in late August of that slate. So we're a little bit of a different example, but yeah, people who, aren't dialed in, they're football diehards. Not that we're not, but just people who are locked into other things. And now March Madness is here and the end of the college basketball season's here. It's exciting. And, for people who don't get invested like day to day, week to week in the heart of the season, this time's for you when you blossom.
Yeah, perhaps the best story this year has been Miami of Ohio, 28-0. And I was just after Auburn lost last night, I wrote up our bracketology and I was pretty mad. So it was a little incoherent going on. And we do have Auburn on our outside looking in now. They're in the first four out. I do think they get in just because the bubble is that atrocious this year. There's really no good teams left on the bubble, which makes me believe if Miami, Ohio ends up not winning the MAC tournament, they're still going to be in. But what's terrifying about that is I think this is the year we finally answer the question of should a mid-major that's been extremely good get in over a power 4 team now that's been mediocre. I'm having nightmares of Miami of Ohio playing Auburn in a first round game or a first four game and just destroying them. And that's how Auburn's March Madness ends.
So it all goes back to where do they sit on the KenPom? Because that's what we do to gauge how good these teams really are. What's the quad 1, quad 2 wins? Who have they played? Who haven't they played? For me, I'm still going to sit here, and I know Miami of Ohio has had this dream season, this out of nowhere season, but I would still tend to fade them when they play one of these better teams. Brian, we went over it, whether it was in bracketology when we're talking off camera, off the show, or maybe last show. How many quad 1 wins does Miami of Ohio have? I don't think they have any.
Zero. Yeah, they don't
zero.
have
The same amount of losses they have this year.
But yeah,
so
28.
when I think of that, it's like, okay, so if they play a quad 1 team, and you got to think some of these games they've grinded out and won in overtime and have won down the stretch. None of them quad 1 wins. So as great of a story it is, I love Cinderella teams. I'll probably be rooting for them just to see the story continue. I don't know in any brackets that I can pick them to win first round. I think I will be very much looking forward to picking against them because I think a lot of people that don't know Jack come in, and not the guy on our show, but don't know jack squat about college basketball and just make their picks off of, I like this logo, I like this school, or they're going to say, this team's 34-0, and they're going to have them going on a run just because of what their record says. They're not going to look into anything behind it. They're not going to look at the quad one wins. They're not going to look at anything else. And I think that's where people who do know what the hell is going on are gonna pick up slack over people who are just going to pick them based on the record without knowing anything under the surface.
Yeah, they're going to need to get really lucky in their draw. I mean, the team is fun. They are 28-0.
It's fun.
They have
Fun
4
team.
guards shooting a combined 40% from 3. Brant Byers is so fun to watch. Like, they have fun guys, but they're so small. And they score a lot, but can they score against a very good athletic team? It's going to be interesting. They need to play like a slow, like if they get Iowa, if they somehow
Iowa in
get
a
like an
7-10
Iowa,
battle, like if
that's
Iowa's
a game
10,
they can win.
Yeah, I mean, you're right. It's gonna have to be a very favorable matchup, but any of these teams where it's like, I mean, because where do we have Miami of Ohio? 7 seed, or are they on a
they're
10?
still down at 10. Yeah.
So as a 10 seed, who falls at 7? That, I mean, it's going to be it's going to be a quad one team. We know that.
Yeah, I think Iowa that we have them on the 7 line. That's why they came to mind right away. But Bennett Stirs might have 40 against that defense, and that could still beat them. On our 7 line right now, we have UCF, which that's a big team. They have big forwards. I don't know if they can get by UCF. Wisconsin with a bunch of good wins. Again, Boyd's a star, just like Stirs is. I don't know if they can defend him. And then your Villanova Wildcats.
Miami of Ohio hasn't seen a team like any of those teams all year.
Yeah, the big thing is going to be, and I hope we get Akron, Miami of Ohio in the MAC championship. I need that because that will be appointment television.
Yeah.
If they can play Akron in a championship setting and beat them by 15, I will feel a lot better about Miami of Ohio. But if they win an overtime game or it's a close game, or if they lose to Akron, then it's like, okay, it might be time to finally fade the Redhawks.
Yeah, and I'm already on that train without them even getting to that point. But I know everybody's they're gonna go with what they go. And I'd be lying to you if in high school I didn't, pick teams that, they had a great record, so pick them. Some of the upsets I took, I would be like, oh, this team was 31-2 in the Ohio Valley Conference. They're going to pull off an upset as a 13 seed. And we see that that's just not the case in how it works. So even if Miami, Ohio does win that, with say with the grace of God, like, okay, they squeeze out a win, 10-7 upset, like they're probably playing a 2 seed.
I don't think they're beating any
unless they get lucky and a 15 seed gets an upset. But
if there's a year, maybe we get another 15 seed this year.
Maybe, but
2s aren't that strong, although Kansas is becoming very strong.
Yeah, I mean, Brian, a 2 seed against Miami of Ohio, I think that's the lack of schedule. 0 quad one wins. 0. They're not even like 0-2 in quad one. They haven't played a quad one team. Yeah. For me, I can't get past that. I can't. As much as I want to, as fun as they are, I don't know how you can look past that. Am I being too harsh?
I don't think you're being
too harsh. Do I need to have more fun and say let the Cinderella team run? Because I want them to. But my years of experience, I'll drop that card. My years of experience of watching this tournament, of watching this part of the season play out, it's just no quad one. You're 0-0 in quad one. You're not even 0-2 where it's like, all right, at least these guys have seen them on the same court.
I could definitely see a world, and this is what I kind of just think will happen with Miami of Ohio. I can see a world where we end up fading them because of the no quad one wins in the first round, and they pull off an upset in that first round. But if they can make it to the second weekend, that's a national championship for Miami of Ohio. They're not getting any further than that, and that will be that would be a great achievement for that team. There's no way that happens. I could see a world where they win that first game.
Right. I wouldn't be I'm still gonna fade them.
Yeah, and I don't blame you for that.
But I wouldn't be like, oh, I'd be like, all right, like whatever, not beyond shocked. They get out of the first weekend. That's where the jaw's on the floor, and I am, what the hell's going on? Pigs are flying.
And there is even 15 seeded 15 seeded FGCU almost beat Miami when they made it to the Sweet 16. Oral Roberts had a game against Oklahoma that they were in the regular season. So there's a precedent here that even if you don't have to beat the quad one teams, you really just have to schedule one, and that kind of helps. And Miami of Ohio not having that, it makes it hard.
That's also where it's at least be 0-3 against quad one this year.
And maybe one of those losses is by 7. And we're like, oh, okay.
You're they kept it close. And now they can at least game plan because they can, the human mind can physically remember what that was like. They don't even have anything to go off of.
No. But there is still something to be said for not losing. And you're always going to believe you can win a game.
Yeah. 28-0 is 28-0. And look, they still got 4 more wins for an undefeated season, or what's?
I believe it's 3, and I don't think they play any. I mean, not that the MAC's that good, but it's the bottom half of the MAC they have left.
3 wins away from an undefeated season. I'm not sure who those teams are.
So next they go on the road at Western Michigan, and I don't think Western Michigan has had a great year. Yeah, they have lost. Oh God, they've lost a lot of their games. They're at the bottom of the MAC.
Another stat that because we have the list here, right? Of there's only 7 teams, including Miami of Ohio, to reach 28-0 since the tournament expanded to 64 teams back in 1985, who, by the way, won the national championship that year, Villanova Wildcats. But you look at some of these other teams that were 28-0, the 2020, 2021 Gonzaga, 16-17 Gonzaga, 14-15 Kentucky, 13-14 Wichita State, 04-05 Illinois, 90-91 UNLV. Those were dominant top 10, national championship, maybe not Wichita, but dominant teams. And I just think about it. Who was on that? Was the 1450? Was that Anthony Davis? That wasn't his. No, he was 21.
No, that was Cat, right?
Probably. It wasn't the Harris twins or Harrison twins.
No, the Harrison twins were the team that beat Wichita State.
Right. In 13-14. Was 13-14 the Cleanthony Early and Ron Harper?
Cleanthony Early, Ron Baker, and
Ron Baker.
Was Fred Van Vliet there yet, or was he after?
It could have been Van Vliet. It could have been right there. Good. Was the 2020, 2021 Gonzaga? Was that with Chet and all them? Or was that no? That was the Jalen Suggs team that made it to the national championship, and then the Final Four they beat UCLA when they had Johnny Juzang, and Suggs hit that crazy walk-off buzzer beater. Yeah, that was that year.
Yeah, 13-14 Kentucky was the Harrison twins.
It was.
Then did you say they did it again?
13-14 didn't. They weren't 20. The 14-15 Kentucky team reached 28-0.
Okay, yeah, that was
the Harrison twins were an 8 seed, and they made the Final Four as an 8 seed.
Yeah, this team was fucking loaded. The Harrison twins were still on this team, but they weren't the main guys. The main guys were Cat, Devin Booker, Willie Cauley-Stein, Trey Lyles, and Tyler Eulis.
That team is loaded.
Yeah. That's a really good team.
Yeah. And did you have 13-14 Wichita?
That must have been Cleanthony Early and Ron Baker. And let's see if Fred Van Vliet was on that
had
team.
To be there.
He came in late, though. I don't know if he was there for their really good team. Early Baker. It was Van Vliet. So this was a freshman Van Vliet. Oh, Tyler Cotton. To Kayla Cotton. Remember him a little bit. Is this Nate Wiggins? Nick Wiggins. Yeah, solid team. It was early in Baker were the two guys.
Either way, and then 04-05, what NBA superstars were on that Illinois team?
Oh God.
Not Carmelo, but that would have been right around. There's got to be somebody.
I mean, wow.
Nobody?
I mean, there's NBA guys. Darron Williams, Darren Williams,
Yeah.
James Augustine.
He was probably a superstar, Darron Williams, on
Yeah,
that Illinois team.
I mean, they had 5 NBA guys, but like Luther Head, D. Brown, Roger Powell, and James Augustine.
Yeah, I mean, Darron Williams was pretty good in the NBA. I mean, he had to be just a rock star in college.
Yeah, but to lead a team to 37-2.
Yeah, that's pretty insane. And they got to 28-0.
Yeah, North Carolina won the Natty that year. Let's look at their roster. Because that is probably nuts.
That was like a 20-year anniversary of Michael Jordan year.
Raymond Felton, Marvin Williams, Rashad McCants. He had a long NBA career. Sean May. He was in the league for a while. Yeah. Not many superstars in that Final Four.
16-17 Gonzaga, little Kelly Olynyk. Or was he earlier than that?
No,
Olynyk's been in the NBA a while. Olynyk's been in the league a while.
Yeah, I think that lines up, right?
I mean, that team started out 28-0. Again, they play, sometimes we know how their schedules are always 50-50.
Oh, no, Kelly Olynyk.
Yeah, he might have been a little bit early. Dude, Olynyk's been around for a while.
That was Zach Collins, Killian Tilly,
that
Rui
team.
Hachimura.
Wow. That was a good team.
And Nigel Williams-Gross. He was a good college player.
Some good teams.
Yeah,
And then we don't have
Miami
to.
of Ohio
has teams like that. That's
an
ultimately
NBA
the
player
point.
on that roster.
Ultimately, the point I'm trying to make, and we didn't get into the 90-91 UNLV, but I don't think we need to.
Was that the team that cheated? They got their wins vacated?
Just says 90-91 UNLV.
Maybe they didn't
I don't
cheat.
know.
I might be thinking of that wrong. I think that's the team that beat Duke, and then that created like Coach K's dynasty because he was so pissed off he lost to UNLV.
It was a good team. Got 28-0. I'm sure they had a quad one winner loss. Probably.
I don't know if the quadrants were invented back then, but
probably not.
If you look back, I'm sure the net rankings of the teams they beat would have been good.
Yeah.
Just real quick here, the other big story in college basketball has been the freshman. Darren Peterson has been the talk of the town on college basketball Twitter just because he always takes himself out of games, it seems like. But he's really good at basketball too. And Kansas is getting some huge wins lately. AJ DeBansta has been phenomenal, averaging 25 a game for BYU. The issue is BYU lost Richie Saunders for the year. I don't know how much we're going to see from DeBansta in March Madness. It's not really much past him. There's a reason his usage rate is so high.
Yeah, and they lost, what was it, Richie whatever?
Saunders, yeah.
Richie Saunders. Yeah, I mean that, big loss for them. But the only thing, I wanted to touch on, Brian, was AJ DeBansta. And coming into the year, people had him as the outright number one pick in the draft. But I feel like that people kind of lost sight of that a little bit. Maybe because he was on BYU, maybe because they struggled a little bit. But
the rise of Peterson kind of made
right.
that.
People didn't have him as the clear-cut number one pick. Peterson, I think, kind of overtook that a little bit. But we go, and sure, you could say the usage rate is high, 38 minutes per game in the month of February. 3 ranked teams, Iowa State, Arizona, and Houston, averaged 30, 7.5 rebounds, and 5 assists. So really, really strong numbers, high usage rate, like you said. But I don't know how this guy isn't re-solidified as the number 1 pick in the draft.
I think he will be, unless we see Darren just go off in the last couple months of the season here. But it feels like he has kind of retaken the crown, mainly because people are worried about Peterson's love for basketball, which is such a dumb narrative because people said the same thing about Anthony Edwards. And granted, Anthony Edwards didn't take himself out of games, and he also played for Georgia, not as good of a team. But like, even if they don't love basketball, they're going to love getting paid. And I'm sure Darren Peterson's going to love getting paid in the NBA. He might just not like playing college basketball.
Darren Peterson, like, I respect the guy for having the emotional maturity at such a young age of college basketball being in the spotlight and the media. I mean, this is a national story. This guy doesn't want to play basketball. He pulls himself out of games. This isn't the local Kansas news or the school reporter asking him a question. Like, this is national media. You got to think, he's an 18-year-old kid, Brian. Think back to when we were 18 years old. That, like, your head is certainly not at the right mindset. We know the frontal lobe is not developed until 25. And we know even people beyond 25 are sometimes not emotionally stable. Yeah. So, for him to kind of be cool, calm, collected, just composed and not lashing out and causing a scene and, maybe making it a little worse. I give him credit for that. And for just saying, hey, look, like, if I was healthy and I could play, I'd be out there. I don't know what you guys want to tell me. And I think it's, a bad look on the media for creating this narrative, whatever they heard or didn't hear. And they've spun it into,
He's also taken himself out of games.
But maybe he's hurt.
Completely out of the blue.
Maybe he's hurt. He knows he's in line to make all this money.
Yeah, I think that's the thing. Is just like it's clear Kansas is just a pit stop for him to get to the NBA, and that's fine.
But
I think it's a lot of
probably the first 30 picks in the NBA draft.
Yeah, it sure as hell is for Devansta.
Right.
Devansta's just played, so that's why it looks different. But to judge Darren Peterson on his freshman year at college, Kyrie Irving played like 8 games at Duke, and then he became a Hall of Famer.
Didn't Ben Simmons show up for like 5 and didn't even go to class and had a
but I don't know if you want to start throwing Ben Simmons out.
Ben Simmons was an All NBA guy, $250 million contract guy.
Yeah, it just
he at least got to the second contract. It ended horrifically. But look, Ben Simmons used the NBA to create a comfortable life for himself. Appreciate what he did in Philly. Obviously, the media. I mean, the Sixers were some of the best Sixer teams, especially right after the process. I mean, that was right after the process when they were right when they were getting good. I mean, that 2019 year, as heartbreaking of an ending it was with the quadruple bounce in Game 7. I mean, that team was really fun with Jimmy Butler, Joel Embiid, and Ben Simmons. So I appreciate the beginning of his career, and he got to the second contract, and he was an All-NBA guy. He was making All-Star games with Embiid like it was nobody's business. And, it ended in a shaky, rough way because of, he refused to shoot the basketball. He refused. Yeah. He didn't want to. And he created a comfortable life for himself, set himself up for life. And he didn't really care about being a Hall of Famer or being one of the greatest of all times. And you don't have to be. We think oh, you play basketball, they got to play to be a Hall of Famer. And it's made $200-300 million, and he's completely content with what his life is now. And look, I respect the guy for it. And I'm not, as it was tough at the end, but we had some great times at the beginning of his career with Joel and that 1 year with Jimmy Butler, and is what it is.
Yeah. The other freshman here, just to kind of put a end on this is Cam Boozer. I am putting in a future for Duke to win it all. I've decided. I know it's a little early. We haven't seen the bracket yet, but I'm taking the Duke Blue Devils to win the NCAA tournament.
So I want to take a look here, and I don't know that I don't have the chart, but when we look at teams that win it all, is it usually because they have their best player is the guard, their best player is a big man, or best player is a forward? I don't know the right answer, but I mean,
Most of the time, it's a guard.
Boozer's that like, not that he's clunky, but he's like that clunky four, if that makes sense. So, do you want to put? And he's not a clunky player. I don't know how to explain what I'm trying to say, but you're right. Most of the time, it is their guard, or it's an athletic big man who can handle the ball like a guard, like Debanska can. And I know he's going to need a lot of help with what he has, but I find that with everything you know with college basketball, that you will. Duke feels like a team that is going to, maybe not get upset, but could struggle. And I think you're just biased because they wanted DC this weekend over the Wolverines.
I really like Duke. Isaiah Evans, I think, is going to have a crazy March Madness. Caleb Foster is a senior in the backcourt, shooting 40%. I think Duke, this is finally the year they get over the hump.
I think there's been better teams in years past for the Duke Blue Devils that have faltered.
I do too, but I also think this is not a very good crop of teams that this is a year a lot of teams can win it all, but there's no dominant team that I'm confident saying will. I trust John Shire and that Duke team more than I do a lot of other teams right now.
I think you could be singing a different tune next week.
I might, but
because we were saying Arizona and Michigan were not going to be knocked off. And it was like, all right, well, Michigan is now the clear best. And now it's, maybe it's at our fault because we're just jinxing them left, right, and center. And you just put the cherry on the cake or the icing on the cake with Duke. But we'll see.
Yeah. Maybe if they lose to Virginia, I'll change my mind. But right now, I feel confident in saying Duke's going to win it all.
Speaking of Virginia, they've been lighting up. That Duke Virginia ACC championship, that'll be a fun game if we can get that. That'd be a really fun game.
This isn't your grandfather. This isn't your dad's. This isn't your older brother's Virginia team. This is a Virginia team that likes to score.
Oh yeah, a completely different team. Does the winner of that game, again, major forecast hypothetical here, does the winner of that game get a 1 seed?
I don't think Virginia's done enough. As good as they've been lately.
25-2.
Yeah, but I'll go back
to the they march all the way through the ACC tournament and then knock off Duke.
Maybe
they can't get in as the last 4 seed.
I don't think their resume is there. I think they give it to like Houston over.
You think Virginia. The other teams we already have there? I look at UConn. Like UConn is looking more and more likely not a 1 seed.
Yeah, I guess Virginia can get there. They're still a little low. They're 13th in that. If they beat Duke twice,
this is saying like if it's Duke and UConn at home right now, a solid 15+ point lead on St. John's. So they look pretty locked into.
And that'll win them the Big East.
Oh, will it?
Yeah, essentially, unless they get upset.
That'll put them at 16-2, and it'll put St. John's at UConn's 15-2 in the Big East, and St. John's is 15-1. So I don't know why they're off, but
is that correct?
That's what NBC or Peacock has it as.
I thought they were tied.
St.
Oh, no, UConn did lose. UConn lost that game to Creighton, so I guess they would share it. Yeah,
15-2, and St. John's 15-1 in the Big East. But UConn is still 2.5 minutes to go in the first half, but 38-22 lead over St. John's, and they're at home.
Yeah,
UConn is.
Yeah, I guess UConn only has 2 games left after this. So they'll share the Big East most likely, unless Nova can knock off St. John's, help UConn out.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how. I mean, UConn just controlled that game against Nova the whole way through, but it is what it is. Nova's still 12-4 in the Big East, very, very respectable. But I think if they could have got a win over one of those big giants in the Big East, I think it maybe could have propelled Nova up to sneak around a 5 seed. But I think their lack of being able to knock one of those types of teams off kind of just really solidifies their level around that 7 line.
They seem like the perfect 7 seed.
Yeah. Especially the way of just not being able to knock off. Like, if you knock one of them off, you can squeeze in. But like you said, it just feels like that's just a perfect spot where they're going to settle in at.
Yeah. All right. Well, we will have a lot more March Madness talk over the next couple of weeks. But the time we next record, we will have conference tournaments kicking off.
Is next week on Mondays Champ Week? Is that what they call it on ESPN? Champ Week?
Yeah, I think the A-Sun kicks off on Sunday.
Oh yeah, there's always one tournament that we get a little bit extra early.
Yeah,
I guess next week's all the low tier, and then the following week we get our power conferences.
Okay, the A-Sun's not till March 4th this year. So yeah, it'll be like March 4th to the 13th is when we get the little guys, and then those last couple days before Selection Sunday are the big guys. So I guess Selection Sunday is the 15th. No, I'm looking at February.
I think
Selection Sunday
first
15th.
4 is the 18th.
Yeah, so the big conference tournaments will start on the 10th. Most of them will start the 11th.
And one Selection Sunday, the
15th. And that'll also be the day of the SEC Championship and the Big Ten Championship. Also the American Championship for some reason. They just need to figure it out and start it.
Yeah, Selection Sunday, we get the Big Ten Championship, and then right after we zoom over to, I almost said Greg Gumbel, rest in peace.
Yeah.
But
I think it's Jeff Davis now.
Is that who does it?
I think so.
It's so much better with the other guy, but
yeah.
R.I.P. Yeah, they always go right over to that.
Yep. Hopefully no overtime this year. That's always the scene. But we will see you guys on Tuesday.
We'll see you. AJ, you're staying in Philly, buddy.
We'll see.